And that was Katina and Malia showing off their incredible size, speed, power, and problem-solving abilities. You know, these behaviors help keep our whales active and engaged. SeaWorld's killer whales have inspired generations to care about our natural world, and we're excited to share their story with all of you here today.
Killer whales are the ocean's top predator. They use cooperation and communication, not just size and strength, to take their place at the top of the ocean's food web. At the bottom are small animals, like krill. At the top, the apex predator, the killer whale. Killer whales are as big as a bus, faster than an Olympic swimmer, high flying and powerful.
We'll see all of that today and more. These and other behaviors provide an environment that's full of enrichment.
We spend days, weeks, months, and years building relationships with our whales. This creates trust, and that allows us to do some amazing things. For example, when you visit the doctor, you present your arm to draw blood, or step on the scale to see how much you weigh. It's much the same with our whales.
Throughout today's experience, you'll see our whales moving together in unison. These synchronized behaviors allow them to strengthen their social bonds and problem solve as a group. This is just one of the many adaptations that makes the killer whale the top predator of the ocean. Their scientific name is Orca, but they're more commonly known as killer whales. And here at SeaWorld, all 5 members of our pod have their own individual names and identities. The first is Katina, our matriarch and leader at 45 years old. Next, we have our 2 15-year-old females, Nalani and Malia, and last but not least, our 2 male killer whales, Trua and Makayo. Now, there are many ways as trainers that we are able to communicate with our whales. Now, on stage, Laura is holding a tone box. Now, there are 10 different buttons on that tone box, and each of those 10 different tones corresponds to a different behavior. Now, those sounds can be heard underwater, and right now, Laura just pushed the number 1 tone, which indicates to our killer whales to come on back to stage. It looks like she just pressed the number 2 tone, which asks our killer whales to go to the center of the pool and wait for the next signal. And there's our number 5 tone, and our killer whales are giving you a nice big wave hello. Now, the whales trust us, and they take an active role in their own health and well-being. So think about when you go to the doctor, and your doctor asks you for a blood sample. You know to hold out your arm, and your doctor will take that blood sample from the inside of your elbow. But killer whales don't have elbows like you and I do, so we had to get a little bit creative. Now, in just a moment, Katina, our matriarch, will be joining us in the slide out. And Morgan, her trainer, is going to ask her to flip over onto her back and present us with the underside of her tail flukes. Now, there's a vein that runs along the center of each lobe of their tail flukes, and this is a perfect place for us to be able to collect that blood sample. Now, not only is this so important for the health and well-being of our killer whales, we can share this information with scientists and researchers who are studying killer whales out in the ocean. And there's the signal. Now, what Morgan is looking for is for Katina to lay her tail flukes very nicely in her hands. Excellent job, Katina! You're getting a great viewpoint at that vein on the underside of her tail flukes. This is exactly where we'd be able to collect that blood sample. Now, you'll notice as trainers, we are constantly giving our whales nice big back, tail, and even flipper rubs. Now, the killer whales have very sensitive skin, so not only is this a great way for us to get a good look at their entire bodies, it's an excellent way for us to build our relationships with them as well. Now, an important diagnostic tool, not only are those blood samples, but again, something you're all trained to do. You know to step onto a scale to see how much you weigh. Well, in one of our adjacent pools, we have a killer whale size scale that our whales are trained to slide their entire bodies up onto, as Katina is going to be demonstrating for us here in our slide out. Now let's get a good look at Katina. Katina, our 45-year-old female killer made of her tail flukes is a very muscular part of her body called her peduncle. It could weigh several hundred pounds. And by her keeping her tail in the water, we would be missing out on all of that weight. So to fix that problem, Morgan can ask Katina to lift her entire body up and out of the water. And just like this! This is how Katina would properly weigh herself. Now we weigh our younger whales to make sure they're growing properly, and our older whales like Katina to make sure they're maintaining a healthy weight.
And the care isn't just physical. Mental stimulation and play are vital, and we surprise and engage with our whales at every opportunity. Play is how killer whales teach their young to hunt, and for the adults, play is important too. It seems that they just enjoy having fun. Making time for play is an important part of life for killer whales, and for us.
Well, hi everyone! I'm over on the left-hand side of the glass, and you know, observational learning and mimicry play a critical role in the killer whales' lives. From the moment they're born, they'll learn by watching other whales and playing follow the leader with their mothers. Do you all want to play follow the leader with my buddy Nalani here today? Yeah! Alright, my left-hand side of the stadium, everyone stand on up for me. Alright, on the count of 3, we're going to take 2 hands high above our heads and wave hello to Nalani. Ready? 1, 2, and 3. Hands up! She's got it! Great job, everyone! You can go ahead and have a seat. Well, killer whales are curious animals, too. They've often been seen jumping out of the water to spot their prey, get a better look at their surroundings, or even play. So when you see Katina do that exciting bow on stage, let's give her a round of applause. All right, everyone, if you thought that exciting bow was impressive, get ready for Baleias. Right-hand side of the stadium, go ahead and stand on up for me. Leah's going to teach you the signal. We're going to take our 2 index fingers out in front of us, and on the count of 3, throw them over our left shoulder. Ready? 1, 2, and 3. Let's give her the signal. And off she goes. Now, scientists think that killer whales might reach perhaps to scratch an itch. But for the most part, they're just announcing to their entire pod that they have arrived. Well, that's one way to introduce yourself. How about a round of applause for Katina, Nalani, Malia, and our audience volunteers? Well, as you can see, killer whales are amazing athletes. They can eat several hundred pounds of food a day. Depending on where they live and the time of year, their prey items could vary. Unfortunately, factors like overfishing and pollution pose a serious threat to some populations of killer whales.
Killer whales are impressive animals, and it's pretty obvious why they're the top predator in the ocean. That means killer whales are invincible, right? Wrong.
Killer whales depend on a plentiful food source and a clean environment. They're completely dominant, yet completely dependent.
When it comes down to it, killer whales are not the most powerful animal in the ocean.
Their future depends on you.
Through your actions.
Through the choices we all make.
We hold the future of killer whales and the oceans in our hands.
Killer whales continue to surprise and amaze us. They're the perfect ambassadors of the ocean, limitless, connected, and powerful. But still vulnerable. The challenges that we face can seem insurmountable.
Don't give up.
Be inspired.
We can make a difference. The ocean needs our help, and that seems overwhelming, but together we can make it happen.
There's so much to learn.
So much to protect. So much to explore. The killer whale story is still being written, and there are simple things we all can do to make a difference.
All it takes is one choice.
One positive act. One ripple that can grow and grow.
And change the world.
Together, we've got this.
Follow SeaWorld on Facebook and Instagram to keep track of our latest rescues. Find out more about the animals in our theater.